All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rodney Myers for C Lit Up Radio FM 204.223 PG. So we're here talking about the multi-genre and the social action paper. And so moving on, it's been a hot subject in our schools today in our content literacy classes, and some fellow teachers and colleagues instructing us on some knowledge and dropping us on us so we can become more informed towards these great literacy tools and ideas from our fellow colleagues, and bettering the future for our students for tomorrow. So the cool thing about the multi-genre is that it creates an exposure to the various students in the class, so that they are drawn to various different resources that they can pin through, whether it's through creating a sports card, so they have a favorite athlete, they can go dig for that research, create that kind of hockey card or basketball card, or some sort of Olympian, especially if it's during Olympic times, you can do that. Create like, hey, here's this a rower, and how did she get to this point, or what various different Olympians or other type of athletes, or even nutritionists or sports physical trainers, managers, equipments. They can even do a resume or how they got to that point, interviews, various different aspects to try and even career search, especially towards the outcomes in the upper kind of high school area where they're career seeking, where they're trying to choose what path in life they're going to go down or begin to go down. So it's very important that we do as teachers, we allow for the creativity. That's a big part of, I believe, these multi-genres. So you have all these different ideas, whether it's you could create a recipe for activities. So in phys ed, they could have an activity and they have to develop, the equipment, how long it takes for each time for a warm up, a cool down. These types of ideas to help with them as well. An activity that I once did was a bumper sticker. So it was about healthy, active living, and within those bumper stickers, mine was I made an exemplar that they could go off of, sort of thing, as well as be creative. And so some students even they created the license plate, and then around the license plate they had these cool bumper stickers. So it allowed for the students that were super creative to have, add that little touch on it. So there was room on the paper for them to do that, as well as if you were just wanted short and sweet, you could just do your license plate, and as long as it had something to do with being active or being positive and enthusiastic towards health and active living, then that was the way to go. Mine was I had drew a couple of bananas, a couple of minions, and they influenced the bumper sticker. So then we had there's the minion there. So these are cool little things that might help spark the interest of your students. So a big thing there is creating a good exemplar, but not giving it all away, so you can allow for creativity. So mine was a banana a day keeps the cramps away. So, and then I kind of tied it into, if you eat healthy and you have that banana, then the chances of you, when you're performing activities, your muscles won't. It has the nutrition that it needs. In most cases, if by having that banana day and drinking lots of water, of course, as well. So it kind of becomes an educative situation for them, so they can go, oh, a visualization, a banana day, and then now when they go home and hang that on their fridge, or they see it at school, other people around the school that have phys ed or come there for parent-teacher interviews can see that, demonstrates that, as well as it creates kind of an academic towards the physical education world. You could also create recipes for a healthy diet, so you could get them to make a nutrition plan towards those different things. You could get them to create a newscast, so very similar to what we're doing on the radio right now is stats on nutrition. You could do exercise, so you could bring in a personal trainer or a mock personal trainer with the students, so you could take the information they're learning and go forward with that. Some cool ideas from the book were emails from the nucleus to mitochondria saying, hey, you should start cellular respiration or what have you, and then send that information back. And there's tons of ways in phys ed that you could do that whether it's the nerves working downwards and relating it cross curricular with biology of, hey, food going down your throat, or using the proper terminology into the stomach and going on through those types of things. Some other cool things was building like a resume for very subject related. So if you were, say for example, if you were in town here, people drive by and they see the Charles Schwartz building. Well, who exactly is he? Like a lot of the students maybe in high school might not see that, or even people in the university might not know. So you could get them to inquiry about that and develop a resume of who this guy actually is and what he's done. A cool thing, well, I always thought would be kind of cool, is if you could have an interview with Benjamin Franklin and kind of interview him at the site of when he discovered electricity, of when the lightning hit the kite, or get the news story behind that, or have the videotaping of the apple falling on Isaac Newton and relating that to physics, and then you could even go even farther with the basis behind how that equation came to be. So again, it allows the students to gain and curate that moment and make it meaningful. So when they're writing that exam, if it's an exam of an informed assessment, they'll be like, oh, I remember when we did that interview, and they can recall the ideas that they formulated, as well as if the students present that to the other class, and maybe they create that moment for them to kind of go, oh, I remember when my friend Billy did this, him and Phyllis did this assignment, and boom, and then it just keeps triggering and creates that waterfall effect. The other part would be the social action paper. I find it's good for, I can't say I've really done that in the phys ed environment or even my healthy living, or we've done commercials and stuff like that for a type of genre for them to do with a license plate, etc. But the social action paper is really cool because I find it has the potential to create a great passion and awareness in the community, and relatable to issues within the school, like popular in schools. I was thinking of how I could do this in the physical education room, or the world, or the lab, and it basically will allow the students to dig for their information and allow them to use text as references. And I was thinking a cool thing would be in the upper grades, would be let the students analyze the physical education curriculum or the active living curriculum, see those outcomes, and maybe if they want, they could write their own, or what they feel should be on it, or the reasoning behind it. There was tons of questions I was always getting from students. Well, why are we doing dance today, sir? Why are we doing this? Doesn't have anything to do with gym, blah blah blah. And so it was about educating them and say, this is physical education. It's in the curriculum, and creating things so they can see that and see the realization behind it, and then it just creates a trickle effect for their parents, and hopefully, creates the waterfall effect of creating habits and the understanding of what phys ed is and the expectations of it. Because again, you get other questions like, well, why are we doing this sitting volleyball game? This is not much physical activity, and you gotta try and explain, there's part of physical education is adaptive physical education. Not everybody can use these parts of their bodies, or there's different needs and abilities, and a lot of these activities are just as fun, and it's about explaining to them in that manner and allowing them to participate. Why do we always gotta play modified games, sir? And those are big questions. So this is a big way of, I find, would be able to be like, all right, I have these answers for you, but if you go and you dig on your own, and with guided help, of course, then we'll figure out these things together, and maybe that'll switch the paradigm of their thinking, their critical thinking towards physical education and understanding, well, okay, I understand why we modify it, because we all have different skills and abilities, and it makes it easier for everybody to participate, and people all feel a part of being active and creating a happy environment, which is creating lifelong learning and through movement, to build success and, to decrease the epidemic and the society of obesity and what have you. All of which are important, very important issues, and moving forward. And with the social action paper, that even comes to the whole idea of politics and creating and sparking that interest with politics, because oftentimes it's shied away because it's very controversial, but you can engage them in the research and obesity and the statistics around those different things, And again, you got to be conscious of different students that may be obese in your class or might have family members, as we all most likely probably do, sort of thing. So it's important to see that action and kind of say, hey, maybe I should switch my diet or try to switch my family's to, nutritional things and create those things and understand the budgeting and the reason behind things. Like, oh, if we just if we have the free will to do whatever we want, but then at the end of the day, it'll cost the healthcare system budget and our tax monies and all these things. These trickling, again, that waterfall effect of everything has consequences and relating back to science. Every reaction has a reaction or action to it, sort of thing. Now, in conclusion, sort of thing, the biggest thing is I feel like a lot of this projects will gravitate to the excelling students, the ones that are motivated to it, and then it will kind of seep into the other students that are like, hey, I'll do this. I kind of like this kind of idea of this multi-genre or this paper because it interests towards my interests or to my strengths, and then I could challenge my weaknesses and grow them as well, and learn from them and create these tools. So then later down the road, I might have to do a sports card, or I might be interested in journalism, making in these newscast things or into radio, and so it gives them exposure for that. But again, us as teachers, we have to create that framework, that time frame with those deadlines, and be consistent with it. And there's still going to be those, not to be in the negative Nancy of the world, but there's still going to be those students that are not going to pass in those things in the deadlines. They're not going to not even if you give them the wiggle room. And I know I'm guilty of it as well. As sometimes you just don't pass things on time, or you get busy and you have these things. But at the end of the day, it does create more effort and stress on you as a teacher, because you create all these accessibilities, all these different ways of learning, these cool ideas, but then you have to create these rubrics or expectations for all these different things, be on top of your students, engage the parents, all these different things. It's time and stressful, and with families and children of your own, you're relying on these deadlines as well as your administrations on you most of the time to get your marks in, make sure these things. Well, all of a sudden, if the children all wait to the last minute to pass into all their grades, and you got all these different projects to kind of mark, as well as the ones that are due at that specific time, so it creates a big, huge snowball for you to try and throw in there when you're learning. So this has been C Lit Up Radio, 204.223 FM radio, with your host, Roddy Myers. And thank you very much for listening. And I bid you adieu.